Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Hawks Hangout, brought to you by our amazing sponsors, Enable U2 and Principal Brewing. And on that front, straight into it, Corey, I think we have some exciting news.
We do. Been talking to our sponsors this week, and we're in the process of maybe having some exciting news in the next week or so in regards to potentially having some Hollywood seats at the NBL 1 games coming up this season. So pretty exciting. Got some great signings there with Toddy Blanchfield and Kobe McDowell-White and Bradley Ballinger, all guys who are currently playing at the Hawks, joining that NBL 1 team. So super exciting season. Hopefully have some news in the coming episodes about details on that. So what about our winner for our first competition, Sammy boy?
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I was absolutely shocked by this. So quick mini drum roll. Bang. Big massive shout out to Philip Abello for being 1 point short of correctly guessing the score. Now, the big man himself correctly guessed it, and he said 102-94, and he was 1 point short. So
and Tyler Harvey missed the free throw right at the end of that game, which is like him. So he was one Tyler Harvey free throw of getting it exactly right. So well done, Phil. I dropped over the prize this afternoon, so he was pretty stoked with that. He's looking to hope get some tickets to the game on Wednesday. So fingers crossed for you, Phil. Hope to see you there, mate, and enjoy a couple of Principal Brewing.
Absolutely.
Did he get double the prize for guessing both games, really?
Oh, well, we didn't have it for the second game. We should have. Like, if he did, he could have got double, mate. He could have got 2 6-packs. So incredible that the score was exactly the same, but in reverse for game 2, the same as game 1. So pretty incredible. You don't see it often in basketball games. So, yeah.
No. Speaking of game 1,
yes,
a pretty incredible display of effort from the boys. Now, it was 101-94 to the Hawks. We were 14 from 33 from the three-point line, an absolutely huge effort. Now, we've always said on the show, and we've said it to anyone who's come past and talked to us in general, anytime that the Hawks hit over that 10 mark in those threes, it is very hard to stop them, and they put that on full display on Saturday. So I actually wasn't there, unfortunately. I was at a concert. So you two were both there while I was, basking in Stone Temple Pilots glory. So what was it like from the home crowd?
Grace, I'll let you go first.
Oh, throw straight to me. I mean, I was 4 rows back, so I felt way into it. It was exciting. I'm not going to lie. I went in and I had this feeling that we might have struggled. In my mind, don't kill me for saying this, but I thought we might go down by 5. That was in my gut. So I'm really glad I was wrong. But no, I think it was that third quarter, the energy, it was absolutely electric. And Toddy Blanchfield, our main man on the day. Yeah, just incredible to see live, I think. But yeah, Corey.
Well, I'm not going to lie, I was very worried at halftime. We were down 61-54, and we gave away what I consider a really crazy basket right on halftime. I'm all for managing games at the end of quarters, at the end of half. You've got to make sure if you've got that ball for the last possession, you take the last shot. If you miss, so what? The score can't get any worse. But we jacked up the shot with about 6 seconds to go. We missed. They pushed it up the floor, got a basket. I thought that 2 points could cost us in the end. They came out in that third quarter. They extended the lead to 11. And I looked over to my friend and I said, we're in big trouble here. But I did say at halftime, South East Melbourne do have a tendency, they've done this the last 3 or so games, of having one really strong half and one very poor half. And they actually did it again. They were 61 at halftime and they only ended up on 94. So that's only a 33-point second half. So we needed that, because if they didn't have that, we were in big trouble. And it was a 21-0 run to start that third quarter. And I believe at one stage it was like about a 28-4 run. South East Melbourne only scored 10 points in that third quarter. And that was the deciding factor in the game. Tyler Harvey hit 3 triples in a row. The crowd went absolutely berserk. The place was rocking. And ease the fans' worry, I think. I think every Hawks fan is always a bit like, oh, here we go again. And I think a lot of people were feeling that when we were down 11. But it happened so quickly. I felt it happened in like a 4 or 5 minute period. We were down 11, then up 10. And everyone sort of just went.
Very quick possessions too.
Yeah, and it was just like, we're okay now. We've got this 10-point lead now. We can play Hawks basketball. But what were some of the other stats, Sammy?
Well, I'm going to throw it over to the stat lady herself.
Okay, I love
pretty
it.
good with
She
her
loves
stats.
the stats, Gracie.
So,
You
Grace,
guys.
give us a rundown of our free throws and our rebound count, because across all of our games, it's been one thing that we've either really, really struggled with, or it's been something that we've done really, really well. So, from your end, what did you think that we did well on that end?
Well, on the O boards front, I think we should start there. 15-6, we absolutely smashed it. So I think that's a pretty fair stat to throw out there for everyone just to relive for a second, just appreciate how amazing we are with O boards. And then our bench shooting 36-23. I know it was very similar stat when we beat Kings in the final game there. So kudos to our bench once again. But also Will Hickey. What's your nickname for him again?
The deadly love bot.
Yeah, Will Hickey with a career high 9 rebounds. I think that deserves a mini praise from us. I'm sure he's had enough praise after Friday, but still a pretty wicked stat to throw out there. But
he definitely filled the stat sheet.
Yeah,
he was like 6, 9, and 7. He's been filling that stat sheet all season. He's probably been the guy that at the end of the game, when I look at the box score, I'm probably like the most shocked. He just always seems to have decent numbers in all 3 of those categories, and he's done it all season. So it's pretty impressive.
I mean, and the best mullet in Wollongong, Dan Greeter over there. What was it? 7 points.
Wait a second. 7.
It's great. Maybe if I shave the sides of mine, maybe I can get there.
Do it, Grace. And get a headband as well. Next episode, I want your headband.
Yeah, cover this 6 head of mine. But no, 7 points in 3.5 minutes. It's a hefty work from a bench player any day of the week, and especially in a finals game, and lots of pressure and all of that nice stuff that comes along with it. But yeah, anything else stand out for you guys? Kind of just blurted everything out.
The 2-headed monster. What did you think of that 2-headed guard monster? They were
they were absolutely on fire. Like Harvey, 24, 4 and 2. Trey, Kell, 24, 10 and 5. When those two get going, especially on the assist front, that's 48 points, 14 rebounds, and 7 assists between the two of them. Like there's absolutely no reason. We'll get into it in a second, but that they can't back that up again. On a stats perspective, 45-38 on the rebounds, absolutely incredible, especially with those O boards, as you mentioned, Grace. But 17 from 23 from the line, like that's pretty impressive from the Hawks. Yeah, okay, they missed a few, and it's been something that they've struggled with. But to still sit above that 50-60% mark for the free throws, it's something that they've done very good. Now, whilst we were still pretty good in the game, South East Melbourne had quite a few contributors themselves. So, Sobey had 17 and 9. Walton Jr. in his first game back in a little while, we've always said he plays his best against the Hawks, had 15 and 11 assists.
That's huge.
Absolutely huge. That's like NBA stat lines. You don't see 11 assists these days in the NBL. It's just absolutely unheard of. Now, I'm not going to pronounce his name because I'll stuff it up. I'll let Grace, the media person, do it because she knows how to do it properly.
Yes.
Wieskamp.
It's a funny name to say.
It's a cool name. He was like actually spectacular. I was sitting there, people that I was sitting next to him like, who's this guy? Has he played all year? I'm like, he's probably been like a little bit of the import who's sort of had taken a bit of a backseat, but he's got that potential to have a big game, and he did. He went 22 and 7. He sort of covered the fact that Hurt had a pretty poor game by his standards. He only shot the ball 6 times. He did it okay, 3 from 6. That's not bad, but he only had 10 points and 6 boards. So for them, they probably were thinking, you know what? We let the Hawks go on a 21-0 run. Our best player only had 10 points, and we only lost by 7. So I know it hurts to drop a 21-0 run, but you've got to take some positives, and I think they probably did out of that loss, thinking, you know what, we weren't completely embarrassed. But we're going to talk about game 2, and I think there's probably some stuff the Hawks can also take out of it, because it was a very, very disappointing display. So are we done with game 1?
Done with game 1. Game 1's in the books. We went up 1-0.
Yes. We're up 1-0. Great feeling. The WEC was rocking. The
was high on it.
Game. It was spectacular, but let's move on to this game 2. So like we said before, it was hurt. Exact same score, but in South East Melbourne's favour this time, 101-97. And I think it was probably the Hawks close to their worst performance of the season. When you look at the stats, we just struggled across the board. We only had one pretty strong contributor. That was Hickey. We'll go into his stats a little bit later. We had lots of little contributions across the board. Every person who entered the court did score, and that's always good, but we just didn't have those contributions from our main players that we need to win games. So what do you think, Grace?
Not much positive. I didn't think I know, unfortunately. I'd really like to be happy, but, you know, it's quite fresh. What was it, 2 hours ago that we all sobbed a little bit. So I think, I mean, not funny, but it does go along with the theme. I mean, Hawks have lost their last five away games, six now. That was their sixth in a row away finals game that they've lost. And it's also now the 8th game where whoever the home team is in a Hawks final, that team wins. So home court advantage is obviously a huge thing in the Hawks' minds, and hopefully that plays again on Tuesday. Fingers crossed, everyone. Exactly. Look, I think the stat that kind of pops out to me, which I don't think it was paraded too much, but Derek Walton Jr., as much as he's had a fantastic impact for Phoenix the last 2 games since coming back, he hasn't scored a 3 against us since December 2022. So wow. I don't know. I think if I have to think of something, that's what I'm thinking about right now, just to keep me going and keep me motivated.
That's huge. You know he's going to hit like 5 threes in game 3. That's like
it's a given now.
That's going into multi.
But for now, we're keeping positive. But on the flip side, I mean, as you were saying, 7 from 28 for threes with the Hawks. It's not ideal, and it's not where we've been sitting at the last few games. So, I mean, there's not the excuse that we're rusty, because we've played 2 games now. It's not fresh off the FIBA break. And let's be real, every team is in the same boat, so we can't use that excuse anymore. And and I don't like to use the word woeful, but our free throws, guys, I don't have another word for it. It's 17 from 29, wasn't it? Something like that.
Yeah, 17 from 29, and I'm telling you,
can we stop giving away cheeseburgers? If we're going to have cheeseburgers in the NBL, can we have it when we're playing in the sandpit, please? Because I'm really sick of no cheeseburgers, and then as soon as we go and travel, it's given away.
We're a giving team. We love giving cheeseburgers.
Guys, let's sort out our cheeseburgers.
That free throw thing, I've been saying it all season. I've said it's going to cost us big games if we don't get it right, and it did cost us this game. To miss 12 free throws.
I know we practice them. Practice them.
It's just pressure. I don't know what it is. It's just it's hitting free throws. Like missing free throws at the start of games is different to missing them at the end. Like you got to focus at the ones at the end that are super important, especially when you're trying to come back or you get a lead and try to build on that lead and you're missing free throws. It can't be happening. It just takes momentum away from the team. And it definitely cost us this game, along with those 3-point shooting as well. 7 from 28 actually was probably flattering because Lee hit a couple in the last minute. So we're probably about 5 from 26 at one stage. So we hit those 2 late. That didn't really mean anything. And it was frustrating to watch. They just kept shooting them. And I was like, Hawks, we've shown this year that we can still rack up over 100 points we don't have to hit that many threes. Like a game we played against South East Melbourne on New Year's Eve, we scored 105 points. We lost the game, but we only hit 4 threes that game.
Yeah.
Our game is to get the ball inside, push the tempo. All right. If we're on with the threes, yes, great. But if we're not, let's look elsewhere, especially in a close game. I felt like we're jacking up threes when we're up 2. Like, get it inside, make it 4. Keep building pressure. South East Melbourne are the team who has to win. Yet we were like trying to like hit threes and do the knockout. But I think it's lazy basketball.
Miracle threes, really, as well.
Yeah. Like, take it in. Like, it's just frustrating. It was so frustrating.
Before this game, we were on a 10-game streak of 8 or more threes. So I have a feeling maybe in the back of their minds thinking, you know, we've done it for the past 10 games, we can do it now. But sometimes, especially in a finals when there's stuff on the line, big stuff on the line, I think you go back to your basics and you go back to that ball movement and you go back to notching up the points 2 at a time, 1 at a time.
Yeah,
absolutely.
What do you think about the rebounds, mate?
Look, it's funny that you mentioned rebounds and all the rest of it, because if there was anything positive to take away from the game, it was those stat lines. Now, we beat South East Melbourne on the rebound again, and it was 53 to 46 total for the rebounds. We were 19 for 12 on the O boards, so we beat them by 7 on that end. But then our bench points as well. And I think this is where it really comes down to when you look at teams and you look at the landscape of the teams going forward, and especially heading into this third game, it's going to come down to those bench players, those role players that don't get the minutes. And it's something that I've sat back as a coach, as a player, as a spectator, and as a fan, and now, you know, as an analyst for a podcast. But 55 to 26 bench points. Now, for us to only score 94 in a game, absolutely woeful, and I can't use any other words because I know that there's kids from school and my own family watching, so I can't use anything else, but absolutely woeful from a starting.
So that means our
starting fine.
Starters only scored 39.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. And they've been our engine the whole year. I know our bench has been good. It's given a spark, but it's rare that our bench has outscored our starters. So that was probably, I think that may be the first time in the season that's actually happened. So we don't necessarily want that to happen. But it's a good thing and it has happened a couple of times this season where the bench has sort of stepped up and covered. And like, I think that's probably the positive that we'll take out of this game is that I think Kell and Harvey only combined for about, 18 points or something. And they were one of 13 combined from 3. Like, I'm hoping that will not happen again. And we still only lost the game by 7. So like I said, South East Melbourne probably took some positives out of that loss in game 1. I think we can take some positives out of this, and the fact that we'd hope that Harvey and Kell can't be that poor again and won't shoot 1 of 13 from 3. If they hit 2 more, all of a sudden it's like a close game. We hit a couple of more free throws, we win the game. So it doesn't have to be too much more, and you hope that the bench can still give their little spark here and there. But man,
and I don't know about you guys, so I'm gonna put it out there as a question. I'll start off with you first, Grace.
Yeah.
But in that bench points itself, now we talked about him a little bit at the start of the episode, and we'll talk about him again. But our man Hickey, stat stuffer, deadly love bite, whatever you want to call him, but from 19, 6, and 4, that man was on an absolute tear tonight, and it was just absolutely fantastic to watch. But my thing for you both is, at one certain point in time, South East Melbourne, you could just tell that they were gassed. There was nothing left in the tank. They were gassed. They were hitting these Hail Mary 3 shots. Anyone who was on the court had been on the court for well over 25, 30 minutes at that point in time, because it was the only people that they could rely on. You see Hickey just click, and it clicked into him. They were hitting, threes, or they were hitting something and they missed it. And next thing you know, within 2 seconds, Hickey was down the court, had scored another 2 points, and he kept it for quite literally 3 or 4 minutes in there, at least to a 3 to 4 point margin. So my question for you both is, do you see Hickey getting more game time? Do you see him getting the ball into his hands more? And as we have said, a big thing for us is pushing it into that paint. do you see us playing that paint game a bit more?
Well, I think with
wanna
Hickey, I think he got a little bit more minutes tonight because Harvey got some foul trouble. He got the 4 fouls in the third quarter. So Hickey got to run the point guard a little bit more and be on the court a little bit more. And he's very good at pushing the tempo and getting straight to the front of the rim and scoring. That's one of his strong points as a player.
Yeah.
And he took advantage of that tonight. Unfortunately, probably when he scored a few of his points, like he was keeping us in it, but I felt like the game was pretty much over at that stage. They were scoring and he was going down the other end scoring. We went back and forth. Sobe was doing the same thing as he was doing, and it was just back and forth for about a minute or so there, and it was just like, this isn't really helping us. We're not really chipping away at the lead. It's just sort of like we're scoring, they're scoring, and like you said, I felt they were tied, South East Melbourne. They only really had a rotation of about 7 players. They scored 26 bench points, but that came from 2 players. So Glover and Foxwell combined for that 26. They didn't get any other contributions. And to be honest, not many other players played too many minutes, significant minutes anyway. So they sort of shortened their rotation in this game. So that could have an impact on them moving forward because they might be a little bit more tired. It's a quick turnaround. We play again on Wednesday. While the Hawks did share the minutes around, we said that they got contributions across all players scored, played some decent minutes. So fingers crossed that can have an impact on Wednesday.
Yeah. And just on Mr. Glover that you mentioned there, I think we should probably appreciate the fact he did notch 1,000 career points, which is a pretty big honor, in my opinion. I don't think I've scored 1,000 points in my social career, so I'd like to congratulate him. And of course, he's a
local boy too.
Yeah, exactly. So let's just appreciate that. And then on the flip side as well, Toddy Blanchfield, one of my recent favourites for his performances, just 2 points away from 4,000 career points. Came in 8 away and scored 6 this afternoon. So I'm sure that can put up in conversation. But Tuesday, 4,000 point watch for Todd Blanchfield. But yeah, on the Hickey thing, I'm the same. I do want to see him play a few more minutes. I am not a positional expert in basketball. I'm going to be completely honest. I don't know how that might fit. I would have liked to see him play more of Trey Kell's minutes today. Sorry, Trey Kell, nothing personal, just your shots. But I think, especially with the whole fresh legs thing, him and Greta have the same effect from watching a game, both live and on TV. It looks like they come in with fresh legs all the time and they're super energetic and they have all of this buzz going on, and it seems to make a difference. So I'd like to capitalize on that a little bit more in the future, which hopefully includes more than one game.
Yeah, I agree. But we also got to give kudos to Hurt. Hurt had a pretty poor game in that game one. He bounced back with 30.
Absolutely.
Today he hit some pretty tough shots. He was pretty impressive. And Sobe, again, he's probably been their most consistent player over this series, had 25. So I think the Hawks, if they want to get that win in game 3, have got to reduce the input of one of those two, hopefully both, but at least one of those two, and hope that we can get some scoring power from our dynamic duo in the backcourt, Kell and Harvey. I think that's going to be the key to this game 3. But let's have a little chat about game 3 and some predictions. So I'll let you go first. I can see you've got a little stat there on our run sheet that I'm interested in hearing about the fourth quarters for the Phoenix.
Yes. Now, you can't quote me on what happened in game 1. I don't know if this was the standalone quarter or not, but the last 13 of 14 South East Melbourne Phoenix games, they have won the fourth quarter. So they lead the league in fourth quarter win. Coming into this game, when it was 12 out of 13, it was something like 68.8%, I think that works out to be. Not a mathematician, so don't come for me with that. But yeah, so that only just got even better. I think that's something that players are going to think about. I think that's something that's going to be on King Tatum's whiteboard come training. And I think if we have a game 3 that resembles anything like game 1 or game 2, we need to have quite a strong lead going into that fourth quarter to make sure that even if South East Melbourne Phoenix have one of their miraculous runs or hits 3 threes out of nowhere, that we can feel a little bit safer than we did today.
Yeah, I think that's actually a huge stat, because that combined with the fact that the Hawks have been very poor in close games this season, and knowing that the team we're playing has been pretty strong in the fourth quarter. I know sometimes that might get blown out. That could be like Phoenix have been in a blowout game and they've won the last quarter when the other team have rested their stars. You don't know. I don't know how to. I haven't looked into that stat too much, but that can often happen sometimes where you might be down 20 and then you win the last quarter by 5 and you lose by 15. So those sorts of things. But if it's a close game and that stat comes into play, that is a worrying factor, because the Hawks have been very, very poor in close games. And I'm going to have to say, I think this game's going to be close. We've played the Phoenix 5 times this season. These last 2 games have been 7-point victories. There's been a 5-point game, a 3-point game, and another 6-point game. So the biggest margin in any of those 5 games has been 7 points. So it'd be crazy to think there's just going to be a random 20-point win. I hope that's the case, and I hope it's the Hawks. But the stats show that it's probably going to be close. So that stat that Phoenix have been pretty strong in fourth quarters is probably a little bit of a worrying stat. So I don't know. What do you think, mate?
Considering with that home win on the first game, so on Saturday, it takes the Hawks' home record to 11-5 for this season. Mm-hmm. It then also puts South East Melbourne's away record to 9-7 this season. So it's a pretty big stat line for them to then try and get back of. So, obviously their home win was great. Our home and away record was basically the exact same. We had 10 home wins, 5 home losses. We had 10 away wins, 4 away losses. So for most of those, they were close games. There had been no real big blowouts besides that one Adelaide game, which, in my personal opinion, wasn't as bad as how we performed tonight. I think tonight, I don't know, I can't even say it was the quick turnaround. It's not like that they didn't have anything behind them. The WEC was sold out on Saturday night. Yeah. Over 5,500 people there. They then got treated to over 200 staff, players, and coaches from the Illawarra Basketball Association rep teams, forming a guard of honour all the way from the front doors of the Snake Pit all the way out to the back where their bus was to send them off to the airport and down for this game. And then I know for a fact that our main man, Dawson, was down at the game with a whole bunch of Illawarra Hawks supporters himself, and they had sold out a section of the stadium. So it's not like they could say that the fans weren't there watching them, that they didn't have any sort of real connection in the game, or they weren't fighting for anything. Because the one thing that you don't want to see is a hungry Hawks team with a hungry home fan. It's going to be absolutely packed in there on Wednesday night. Yeah. It's just going to be absolutely huge. And for me, I can't see us losing that. 11-5 home record. Tatum will have them firing. The boys will be firing. This is not how they want to end the season. I think if this is how the season ends, watch out next season.
Yeah, well, I hope you're right, because it would be devastating if they do go down in this game. I predicted before both of these series started that they would both go to three games. So it shouldn't be like a shocking thing. I think that way the NBL's gone this year, it probably would have been more shocking if both of these series were 2-0. So we're expecting them to go to the third game. The Hawks have to be favoured in this with the home advantage. My only concern is if it does get down to a close game, are they going to be able to play those clutch moments? They've shown this year they've struggled in those moments, and with the big pressure on them in front of a home crowd with a high expectation, are they going to be able to deliver in those clutch moments? That's my biggest concern. So I'm hoping it's not really a close game. I'm hoping that the Hawks can come out and really blow them out. But what they have to be careful about, if they do get off to a really strong start, Phoenix have shown that they can have one poor half, then explode in another half. So they have to play for 40 minutes if they want to get this job done on Wednesday night. I'm with you, Sam. I think they can. I hope they can. I think it would be a really disappointing way to end the season. Obviously, I've got my doubts being a long-suffering Hawks fan that if something can go wrong, it often does for the Hawks. So that's always in the back of my mind. But I do feel that this season's a little bit different. They've shown the ability to bounce back. I'm backing our boys, Kell and Harvey, to turn around after a very, and I'm sure they put their hand up and say it was a very poor performance from both of those today. Then I'm sure the rest of the guys can still contribute in their small way with their energy. But we really need those two boys to step up. And if they do, I think we're going to be hard to beat.
Yep.
Gracie?
Agreed. Agree with everything. I mean, now, I might have to remind myself of a third thing, but there are 3 things I want from Game 3. I want a win, I want Hungry Jacks, and I don't want Nathan Sobey to score a single point.
Oh,
and
that's
a big ask. That's not happening.
That's a big one.
Yeah, that's all I ask. If I had a genie come out of a bottle right now, those would be my 3 wishes.
But I saw your little stat here. Your fave, Lockie Albridge. He's only one of 2 players with a higher field goal percentage than free throw. So we might have to change it from all heart to all bricks because, mate, these free throws tonight were some bricks. So please, Lockie, in a Game 3, you need to be knocking down those free throws, buddy. We love you. All right, we know you're all heart, but please get that free throw percentage up. That should never happen.
I don't have the stat on me, but if I had to guess, and nothing personal, Lachlan, but I think he's given away more cheeseburgers than any Hawks this season. So we need to change.
All heart, just such a nice guy, just giving away cheeseburgers for fun.
All heart, no free throws.
Well, he doesn't have to worry about giving cheeseburgers away because we're at home on Wednesday. So just knock them down, big fella. Knock them down.
Knock them down. Speaking of knocking them dead, we're all knocked dead over here. It's been a long-ass day for all of us. It's been an emotional roller coaster of a day for all of us, as I'm sure it has been for all of you fans. But keep in there, Hawkheads. One more game to go. Wednesday, the 5th of March, at the Wynn Entertainment Centre, 7:30. Be there, be square. If I do not see you there, I will be crying. I won't be.
We'll be there. But
we'll be there.
One word before we go. Just one word answers from all 3 of us. Who is going to win the other series? Sam?
Melbourne.
Grace?
Perth.
Me? Melbourne.
Corey.
You heard it here. All right, let's go, Hawks.
Let's go, Hawkies.
Fly high. Come on. See you at the WEC.
Bye, guys.
Bye.